Hey guys, thanks for coming back, seeing me this week. Today's vlog isn't going to be as upbeat as most of my other ones, because I want to bring to light a few events that have happened in my town this week and in other, well not towns, but in a couple other cities down in the States that I'm sure we've all heard about. First thing that happened on Thursday morning, I always set my alarm for 9 o'clock, and when the alarm went off, the news was on, and they had said there was a fire at one of the drugstores that I actually live relatively close to, so I didn't actually go and investigate this because well, to be completely honest, I wasn't that concerned. I don't know why, because fires are pretty bad wherever they happen, but it just really made me think about, like, disaster can happen anywhere, and that wasn't the only fire that happened that day. A little later, I went down to the youth center I volunteer with because I was penciled in to actually be there at the time. And when I got there, there was caution tape around that started like, okay, like, here's us, and here's the sidewalk. There was caution tape right here, and it went like all along the sidewalk. So I was standing there thinking, what do I do? Because there's a telephone pole about right here that I normally park my bike on, but as you can see from this very crude illustration, it's like tape starts here, pole's right here. I didn't really want to put my bike in people's way, so I took my bike inside the youth center, and apparently what was going on was the Walker's building was on fire, or there was a fire in the Walker's building, which is a pretty big thing in this town because that building's been there since like 1890. That's when it was established, and to have that building up in smoke, it's pretty nerve-wracking. Tons, and I mean like a lot of photos were taken during the X hours that the firefighters were there taking care of it. There were, I haven't seen any videos, but every time I would log on Facebook, there would be somebody that had posted a new photo of like the amount of people or some smoke. One of my friends actually posted a photo where there was like this huge cloud of black smoke, and I just looked at that and I thought, holy crap, that would be terrible to be a part of. Which really made me think of the firefighters that are actually going in the building to put out the fire. It was pretty crazy. After dropping was over at the youth center, which thankfully they weren't evacuated early, I was like, okay, these guys I'm just going to let them do their work, and all these onlookers, all these looky-loos, as Crystal called them, can hang around, do whatever. So I got on my bike, I left, and then a couple days later I went back, and it was just like rubble. Well, not rubble, I mean, the building was there, but it was like demolished. A couple people said it collapsed, but then they correct themselves and were like, well, no, they took it down. I said, well, collapsed and took down are two entirely different things. So that is now nothing. Established in 1890, unestablished in 2013. These next two events I'm only going to touch on because I'm fairly certain they've been covered enough in the news for everyone to know about, but still, I feel they're important to address, so I'm just going to talk about them really briefly. I'm sure everyone knows about the bombing that happened in Boston during the marathon, and if you don't, here's a quick summary of what I understood happened. Boston Marathon, people are running, finish line's right there, when I think it was the first person who crossed the finish line. Then a bomb went off in a nearby building and just chaos ensued. A lot of people were injured. Some people wound up dead, and that's just a tragedy. A lot of people were affected by this event, mainly the people at the event, but also friends, family, and just the general population as a whole. All were affected by this event. Like, some people even kept right up to speed with all the news that was going on with it. So my thoughts and my prayers go out to everyone who was affected by this bombing, and I pray that it never happens again, especially in such a largely populated area at a huge event such as the Boston Marathon. The last event I want to talk about today is the explosion that happened at a plant in West Texas. Now, I didn't have basically not any knowledge. I had very slight knowledge of this until I did a quick web search and just found out a couple little details. But basically, there is a plant, was, depending on how it was resolved, in West Texas that exploded, and it could be heard as far away as Waxahachie, which is 45 miles away. That's quite a big distance. From my web search, I found that there were 200 injured and 14 dead. So, again, just like in Boston, a lot of people got hurt and a good number died. So, thoughts and prayers go out to the people of not just West Texas, but of all of Texas. These four events illustrate the brokenness of our world. Tragedy can happen anywhere, at any time, be it local or far. However, through this devastation and horror, it just goes to show how communities can be affected, and that we all need to do our best to stay strong in these times of disaster. That's really what the punchline of this vlog is all about. Staying strong and keeping a level head when faced with adversity. Alright guys, I'm out. Stay safe.